Hi there, and welcome to today's gaming review of none other than Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. This is an action-adventure game combined with various puzzles players must solve as they progress. There are, of course, many unique abilities you'll eventually unlock too, which I found to be very nostalgic for the Star Wars genre, such as force abilities like push, pull, double jump, and even a double-sided lightsaber, which you get to personally customize with cosmetic skins as you continue to progress throughout the campaign. You start out in a junkyard scrapper type planet as a promising Jedi, who is now in hiding following the extermination order of all Jedi after the Republic became an empire. Now, with that said, even I'll admit this game surprised me in a very good way with its atmospheric graphics of each unique world, which compromises a total of 4 distinct landscapes, including desert, forest, jungle, and of course a maze of structures combined with sparse vegetation. The action itself can be pretty intense, and the enemy's artificial intelligence does a half-decent job of it too, especially if you're going up against a tough foe in direct melee. Players will of course find themselves quickly overwhelmed if they don't know how to counter enemies properly, such as using dodges and counterattacks effectively. Unfortunately for me, I'm not always the greatest Jedi, and more often than not, I'll end up on the receiving end of a foe's energy weapons, or otherwise. Sometimes I can wing it, but more often than not, I'll end up swept off my feet, and not in a good way either. Players also must learn to be adept at using the surrounding environment toward your specific Jedi training skills, which of course means to run sideways along walls, jumping from one side to another, skidding down various landscapes during intense action scenes, and of course climbing, jumping, and using platforms, ropes, vines, cables, and anything else that can be utilized toward your specific advantage. There is, of course, the Jedi meditation circles, which allow players to rest to recuperate both their health and med sticks, which act as health recovery systems, and to upgrade their current Jedi skills/abilities. These also act as save points in the game to maintain progress as you move forward in the storyline. Now, I'll admit some of these Jedi skills are pretty damn good, while others are difficult to keep track of. Never mind activate at the correct time if you're using a mouse and keyboard. So there are pros and cons to playing on a PC versus using a console. Some areas are only accessible via your force powers, whereby push, pull, and even double jump can make the difference between progressing or running into a literal roadblock, which means having to return or visit another world in order to continue your character's power progression and personal storyline. The main character himself is called Cal Kestis, and is a former Padawan trained by Jaro Tapal, who escaped the Jedi Purge. Accompanying him on his journey is BD-1, who is an explorer droid that accompanied Jedi Master Aino Cordova during the last years of the Galactic Republic. Following the Purge and the rise of the Galactic Empire, the droid befriended Cal and allows you to access areas that would otherwise be blocked. Now for the cutscenes, which I will admit are spectacular to watch.
You will go no further.
Stand aside.
No, he was right about you.
Who? What?
Jedi are thieves and selfish liars who bring nothing but death.
Back off. If you attack me again, I'll strike you down.
Oh, I won't do a thing. But my murdered sisters.
These are even better when flying across various landscapes on different worlds. And although short-lived, you cannot deny that the sights to behold are literally awe-inspiring and well worth the effort to reach the top.
Yeah!
Very nice.
And now for my favorite moment in the entire game, which is, of course, none other than Cal getting married. I'm only joking, of course. No, instead, this is one of the boss fights that takes place, which is quite the spectacle, as you go from striking down the majority of its health bar only, for it to then pursue you afterwards in a deadly game of cat and mouse.
think it's gone.
Oh my god.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm getting a little sidetracked here. So, let's get things moving up in the right direction again. No, not like that. No. I didn't mean by having a literal gigantic bird chasing after us either. And what's with that wedding song? Yeah, I'll admit, this particular boss definitely got the heart pumping. Basically, it keeps dropping you whilst you fall into the void, only to end up using your force powers to land atop of it once again. I will, of course, not share the final outcome, but I think we can all take a good guess as to what inevitably ends up ultimately happening. And no, it's not another marriage proposal either.
Here we go again.
So given that there are indeed so many pluses about this game, you may be asking the question, what about the negatives? Well, there are indeed a few of them, and it's nothing that's necessarily game-breaking. However, with that said, some of the jump puzzles may very well cause players to rage quit. And I shall admit, there were a few occasions I almost did that myself. Sometimes you'll literally get stuck and have no idea where to go next, nor how to get back to the ship. Unfortunately, this can indeed become more than just frustrating, which can then work against the fun factor. Never mind the overall immersion and gaming experience. I know it did for me. Learning to use the in-game map can definitely help things at times, but if you're lost in the jungle, walking around in the literal dark, or get turned around, you can quickly lose track even with the map trying to aid you. So, with all of that said, who would I recommend this game to? Well, if you're a fan of jump puzzles, Star Wars, or just want to try something out that involves lightsabers and melee combat, then I'd say go for it. But if you get easily frustrated, lost, or confused with different environments that take more than a little thought, then yeah, steer away from it. For me, the game is a one-off, as I wouldn't be able to be patient enough to sit through it again, but that's just my own opinion. I don't have much patience these days for jump puzzle games, and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was a definite exception to that rule, but only because I've always been a fan of classic Star Wars themed movies, games, and sci-fi aesthetics. So, until the next one, I hope you enjoyed today's gaming review, so please feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.